Gavin Edson, and you're listening to my mom, Georgia Edson, on iCannabisRadio.com.
I love that. Hi, I'm Georgia Edson, and you are listening to me on iCannabisRadio.com. I always feel like I have to explain that my son sort of had a stuffed up nose when he did that, because he can really, I mean, he sounds like a little kid, and but yeah, he can pronounce his name. He can't spell his middle name. So here's a funny little story. So they let the kids in his class pick 2 spelling words. Like they have 10 words, and then they get to pick 2 words that they want to learn how to spell to add to their spelling list. So the first time he got the opportunity to do that, he's like, I want to spell my middle name because I don't know how to spell it. I'm like, that is a fantastic spelling word. So anyway. Welcome. It is February 25th, 2013, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio. I'm in the studio tonight with my fantastic, freaking amazing, wonderful friend and producer, Chris. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing good, Georgia.
He's doing good, Georgia. How are you? He says. I love doing that when he's never mic'd. Anyhow, we have a great show set up. This has just been... an interesting week and an interesting weekend, and we are starting the show a little bit differently. Normally I start off with the news, but there are stories that we talk about that are so important and that are so meaningful, and you don't want to get in the way of these stories by doing anything first. You kind of just want to get right into them, and we've talked about this situation before. Young mykayla, 7-year-old little girl who has leukemia, and she has some parents who decided that come hell or high water, they were going to do what was best for their daughter, and they didn't care whether or not there was a stigma attached to their choice of medicines. They didn't care if people were confused or judgmental about what they chose to do. What they cared about was the health, safety, and well-being, and just plain comfort of their daughter. And we are going to talk to mykayla's mom and dad today. We're going to give them a call right now, and we're going to hear their story and about what they decided to do when they made their little 7-year-old daughter a medical marijuana patient, and we are going to talk about how she's doing and what that looks like. So. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, you guys are live on iCannabis Radio. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you. Please introduce yourselves. Oh my gosh. So we just posted, I don't know if you guys are watching at the same time, we just posted your precious little girl's picture on the website. She is gorgeous.
Thank you so much. My name is Erin, and I'm Brave mykayla's mom.
And I'm Brandon, and I'm Brave mykayla's dad.
Oh, you guys, thank you so much for reaching out and wanting to be on the show. We know a little bit about, because I have talked a little bit about mykayla on the show previously, because I always, as a mom, I always like to talk about brave parents and about the brave choices that you make. But give us a little background. Tell us a little bit about mykayla and how she became a young medical marijuana patient.
Yeah, we are a family that believes in the medicinal qualities of cannabis, and we have for quite a while. And mykayla, last April in 2012, she came down with a sickness, and in July we found out that she had acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And we had kind of been following the Cash Hyde story for a while before mykayla even had cancer. And we learned about the power of the cannabis oil, and it was just something that we didn't ever even question. We just instantly knew that we were going to give it to her and use it to help her fight cancer and also to help her get through the chemotherapy that they require her to have.
So what was the process that you went through for her to become a medical marijuana patient, and how did you start with dosages and those kinds of things?
I will start on telling you how to go about getting the card, and I'll let Brandon discuss the dosing.
Great.
To get the Oregon medical marijuana card from mykayla, we had to get medical records from her physician, and we used those medical records and took them to one of the clinics that's in our state that certifies medical marijuana patients, and we had no issues at all, really, just like an adult that is applying for a card. They got her right in, and that's how we went about doing that. And I'll let Brandon talk a little bit about the dosing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
When we began Michaela's dosing, we were unsure of how much to give her. The recommendation that we found all over the internet was about a grain of rice and as the first dose, and we gave her about half of that, and it was extremely psychoactive to her. Got her really good and stoned, and we noticed it working right away. She had a smile on her face. It took about 2 weeks before she got a tolerance going with that. She maintained the same dose for the first 2 weeks, and after that we were able to progress and add more oil to her standard dose, and now she takes a gram a day on average. Some days she takes 2 grams.
And how are you dispensing it to her? What forms are you using?
We use full extract cannabis oil that we extract with ethanol alcohol in a capsule. That's the gram of oil I was discussing.
Uh-huh.
She also gets medibles. She has some Rice Krispie treats that she just got given to her that she really loves. We have infused agave nectar. We use infused honey if we can get our hands on that sometimes. The only way she doesn't get to experience cannabis as medicine is by smoking it, because smoking is inappropriate for children. She doesn't vaporize either. It's just all ingested and consumed.
So, do you have is her oncologist following her with the marijuana treatments, or is this something that you guys are working with the cannabis community to ensure that she's getting strains that work best for her and those kinds of things?
Yeah, as for Michaela's cannabis, using cannabis as medicine, we do that completely on our own with the cannabis community. Dr. Janet Sweeney of the Phoenix Tears Foundation has been here the whole road and helping us as much as she possibly can over the phone, and we have a couple other people that we resource out to when we have questions. But Michaela's her new oncologist is okay with what we do at home, but he doesn't have anything to do with advice or dosing or monitoring the cannabis use at all.
Sure. So let me ask this. You start off by saying that there was no doubt in your mind that you were going to use this medicine for your daughter. I completely get that. Was there? Did you have a conversation with her about this? Did you say that this was anything different than the other treatments she was receiving for her diagnosis, or did you just go ahead and, as a parent, give her the medicine that you saw fit?
Well, we as parents, we really believe in not lying to our children, and I'm an Oregon medical marijuana patient, so Michaela was already fully aware of what cannabis was. So when we told her that she was going to get to use it as medicine, she was very happy and excited because she already had known about Cashy Hyde.
Yeah.
She has seen my dad's best friend had terminal stage 4 lung cancer, and we helped him with cannabis and oil and helped him with the process of it and learning how to use it. And she watched it all, and so at her age, she just really understood, and she was very excited about being able to use it and having it help her as well as all the other people she's watched it help.
She's been able to replace almost all of her pharmaceutical medications
Wow.
that she's offered on the side of the chemotherapy regimen by using cannabis.
You know, I have to say, I mean, I don't claim to be a medical professional in any way, shape, or form, but there's nothing about giving children those kinds of pharmaceutical medicines that make me, as a parent or just as a human being walking around this planet, happy at all. And so the idea that you're able to use this plant in place of those pharmaceuticals is fantastic. I so support the fact that you have chosen to go the natural way, and tell us how successful it's been.
It's been a complete success from day one. It only continues to get better. She is just, to watch the other kids we see on the cancer floor that we see every appointment, it's heartbreaking, and I thank God that I've not seen my little girl like this. And she continues, she's almost done about a week a week or two away from the intensive part of her chemotherapy, and it really has not been as bad as they made it seem like it was going to be, and we really contribute that to cannabis and how it's affected her in such a positive way.
If she had all of her hair, you would not know she was being treated for cancer.
Yeah,
Wow.
completely.
That's fantastic. So let me ask this. It's one thing to be fantastic parents and make a decision like this. It's quite another to be fantastic parents, make a decision like this, and then to be very public about it. And you've chosen to really stand up for what you believe in. Was that a difficult choice for you?
Absolutely not, because of the fact that we really strongly feel that if Cassie Hyde's parents wouldn't have spoken out, that we might not even know that using cannabis for children was an option. And
it's important for every parent out there to know that it is an option and how well it does help in treatment.
And also we think that with as much as it helps, and it has helped these children who have used it, we don't want parents to feel like they're alone.
Yeah.
So going public lets parents know that they're not alone in the fight at all. They're not alone if they want to use it as medicine. And also the fact of the matter is we have saved so many lives by telling our story. We have people messaging us, telling us that they got their kids cannabis because they read about mykayla, and it feels so good. I would never do it in any other way at all.
And so tell us a little bit. Part of how you've gone public is through the website bravemykayla.com. That has a lot of information, including a blog that you do. So tell people a little bit about the website and what they can see when they get on that site.
When you get on the website, at first you'll land on the homepage, and it's a basic overview of mykayla's story, a summary of it. There's some bracelets that you can see on there, a link to her Twitter and some videos. And as you go through the rest of the tabs, you can find her store where we have some awesome T-shirts, one bearing the logo that shows mykayla saying cancer doesn't have to be so scary, and another design that says thank you cannabis. There's a news and media tab where you can find all the articles that have been around the globe about mykayla and all the interest in it. There's a page about her diagnosis medically and our alternative treatments, and there's some awesome important links.
And you're also having a fundraiser, right?
Yes, I was just looking at that tab. There's an upcoming event tab, and Skunk Magazine has stepped up and offered to host a fundraiser at benefit event here in Portland at the world famous Cannabis Cafe. John Vergatus, the editor-in-chief, a really nice, awesome guy, has set this all up and has called everybody out to action to assist us because this has been a horrible financial expense on us.
Absolutely.
So that's coming up on March 9th at 7 p.m. here in Portland.
Excellent. So all people in Oregon, please, please, please do your best to show up. If people want to give you money, is there a way to do that on the website?
There's a couple of donate buttons. There's one under a picture of mykayla on the home page, and there's also one on the links page. And if you buy the products that we have for sale, the T-shirts and bracelets as well, it goes to us to help our expenses with dealing with cancer and trying to provide some of mykayla's medicine when we have to. But most of the time people donate that to us, which has been amazing help. But other than that, that's about the only place to do it. And anybody that's interested in providing any merchandise or 420-friendly items to the fundraiser can contact Anna Diaz or John Vergatos, and you can find their emails on our website as well on the events page.
So exciting, and I'm so impressed by you guys, and you know, your daughter is amazing, and she is. You call her Brave mykayla. How did that start? Because I kind of have some thoughts about Brave Mom and Dad.
Well, when the way it first started is when we first.
We wanted to make her feel better about the situation she was stuck in. We called her a Brave mykayla, and it just stuck.
Yeah, we started saying Team mykayla on the internet, and we had a fundraiser that we titled Team mykayla. And I just felt like a lot of the kids that have cancer, they're always Team whatever, and I'm like, this is the bravest little girl I have ever met in my entire life, and it just stuck, Brave mykayla.
Well, she must be brave. But what's amazing is, our children are all only as strong, brave, wonderful, capable as we allow them to be, and you guys have given her a wonderful gift, and I think that all the listeners would agree that it's really, she's brave for going through this, but my guess is that she feels like a strong little girl because she's got this fantastic support that you're providing for her.
Well, thank you so much.
And you've really developed an amazing community too. I'm just looking at the chat room. It's hard for me to do two things at once, but people in the chat room right now are just outpouring of love for you and appreciation for what you're doing and support for your daughter and I just think that what you're doing is fantastic. So what happens now? She's moving through the worst part of her treatment, the most intense part of her treatment. Then what happens?
The next round is called long-term maintenance, and the round will last 2 years.
Okay.
It will be daily chemotherapy pills done at home and monthly visits to the Children's Hospital for lumbar punctures with chemotherapy into the spinal fluid. After 2 years, they require that for 2 years. After that, she will be done. We will be doing cannabis the whole time along.
Excellent. So I've one more question, and then I want to wrap up a little bit more with sending people back to your website. But so how much does Mykayla understand about not just her diagnosis, but cancer in general?
To be completely honest, I don't think that at her age she truly grasps what cancer really is. I think she thinks of it more of like a long-term cold or flu.
Okay.
So I tried to explain, and we've explained to her what cancer is, but I don't think at 7 they really get the gist of what it exactly is.
So is that your recommendation as parents who are working through this with their little girl, that you just kind of explain it to the best of their understanding and then you just move on with support?
Yeah, our physicians, when Mykayla was very first diagnosed, our physicians advised us to not hide anything from her at all regarding cancer or leukemia or what was going to be involved, because she is everything is so graphic, and she is in the middle of it. All the doctors talk around her, and they have to do that, especially in the beginning, because her life was, she was in the pediatric intensive care unit and everything, and so they just basically told us to just tell her, and that's what we did. And I think that I wouldn't do it any other way.
I didn't want to undergo any treatment not knowing what I was sick with.
Yeah.
With needles or getting injected with chemicals. I'm sorry, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think you guys are an inspiration, and I think that your daughter is extremely lucky to have you. And I'm so appreciative of your spending your time being on the show. And I'm hoping it would be okay if in a couple months we have you guys back on, and you can tell us what's going on and what's new, and what sports Mykayla is playing, and the cartwheel she's doing across the lawn.
Yeah, for sure. And she's actually standing right here. She wanted to say hi.
We would love that.
Hello.
Hi, Mykayla. Thanks. How are you?
Good.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 7.
You're 7 years old. Do you know that you're on the internet talking to thousands of people?
Cool.
Yeah. You know what those people think? They think you're cool, and they think your mom and dad are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you know what? Thank you so much. And your mom and dad call you Brave Mykayla. Why do they do that?
Because I'm really brave.
Yeah.
When I get my port access and the stuff that I go through.
Yeah. You sound not only brave, but you sound really smart too. Is that true?
Yep.
Yep. Hey, do you think it would be okay?
I like to read lots of books.
You do? Like what kind of books?
Any kind.
Any kind? That's awesome. Hey, can I ask you a question? If we call you back in a couple months, do you guys want to be on the show again?
Sure.
You will. Promise?
Yeah, for sure.
That
Thank
sounds
you so
awesome.
much for having us.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for having
much.
us on, and thanks for enjoying the show, everyone.
Thank you so much. Please visit bravemykayla.com where you can learn more about this wonderful family and how cannabis can be a life-saving measure for not just adults but for children as well. You're listening to iCannabis Radio, and we will be right back. We are brought to you tonight by Cuffle Eggert Collimore and Company. Cuffle Eggert Collimore and Company is able to provide commercial general liability and property insurance to dispensaries and growers. Commercial general liability insurance provides up to $1 million of protection. Property insurance covers direct physical loss to the business personal property. You can also get loss of business income included under that property policy. This covers the loss of net profits and continuing expenses if the dispensary can't open due to insured loss. Please call Cuffle Collimore and Company for more information or to obtain a quote. Toll free at 877-335-1234. Ask for Bob Collimore, or you can email at rtc@iwic.net. That's Cuffle Collimore and Company. You're listening to iCannabis Radio, and we'll be right back.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding, Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Mykayla, thank you so much for being on our show tonight. That was amazing. Your mom and dad are fantastic people to let you do that. You know, part of why I want to do this, why I do the show every week, and, you know, why I talk about cannabis is because, I mean, I wish I could say it was because of you know, being able to share stories like Mykayla's. I mean, that's a wonderful byproduct, but really it's a little bit selfish because I want my son to grow up in a world that parents like Mykayla's don't think twice about using cannabis for their kids to help them through terrible, terrible diseases. And I feel like the more that we talk about it, the more that people will be comfortable with it, the more that we have wonderful parents on like that who are well-spoken and well-educated and understand what they're talking about and know intimately the pros and cons of the choices that they're using for their kids, the more people will understand the importance of having the option to use this plant. One of the things that I think is so great is that you know, people have a whole lot of feelings about you know, cannabis and cancer and those kinds of things, but you know, over and over and over again, people aren't just using cannabis instead of traditional Western medicines, but they're using them in conjunction with, or in this case, in part to help mitigate some of the really awful side effects of things like chemotherapy, and so no one's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's not like you know, parents are saying, you know, I'm not willing to use some of these traditional treatments, but I just want to do this with a natural component that will help with the side effects and that may even you know, reduce some of the cancer. And so part of the reason why I like to be on the show every week is because I'm hoping that iCannabis Radio does a little bit every single week to be able to make our society a little bit more open to cannabis use in all forms, so that when Mykayla is an adult and when my son is an adult, that it's part and parcel of what happens. It's not the exception, it's the rule. And so I hope that you guys can share Mykayla's story and that you visit her website, bravemykayla.com, and that she gets to be famous because she is healthy, wealthy, and wise, because her parents chose a very logical treatment route for her. So having said all that, everyone in the studio, by the way, is in tears and pretty welled up from speaking to mykayla. So we're gonna move on to a little bit of news. Won't be nearly as fun as talking to mykayla was, but it'll be interesting. So as you guys know, I always like to tell you what's going on in my home state of Florida. And last week, we talked a little bit about how they're moving closer to getting the language of a medical marijuana bill written in Florida that will hopefully then, I don't know, get passed. But the Miami Herald published today a poll that 7 in 10 polled in Florida back a medical marijuana plan, and that could infect the governor's race. So could this possibly happen? Is it possible? The article says that as many as 7 in 10 Florida voters support a state constitutional amendment. Constitutional amendment, Florida. Hello. I mean, they're not just kind of doing it. They're going to full on do it. Constitutional amendment legalizing medical marijuana, more than enough to ensure passage and possibly affect the governor's race, according to a new poll. Medical pot's sky-high approval cuts across party and demographic lines, with Republican supports the lowest at a still strong 56%. The poll conducted for the People United for Medical Marijuana. The outsized support of Democrats and independents brings overall backing to 70%. I mean, you can't sneeze at 56% of Republicans, but 70% of Democrats and independents in Florida, holla, 24% opposed. Voters from Miami and Orlando were among the most socially liberal in the state that want medical marijuana the most, not surprisingly. Non-Hispanic white women, blacks and Hispanics, all Democratic-leaning, are the most likely to back the measure and could be more likely to turn out to vote in 2 years if the medical marijuana makes the ballot. Can I tell you how freaking excited I would be? It's amazing to me, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, but it is my show, and I get to talk about Florida again. There is Florida is so ripe for medical marijuana. Just topicals alone in that state could help tremendously. I mean, these little old ladies with arthritis in their bingo playing fingers would just be so happy to be able to stamp that card without any pain, right? Just amazing, The article goes on to say that supporters of the proposed amendment are less certain to cast ballots in the 2014 governor's race. If it made the ballot, the measure would draw even more attention to Florida's nationally watched 2014 election, in which Governor Rick Scott will fight for his political life. Yeah, well, he better start supporting and backing medical marijuana if he wants his life to last very long in Florida. The proposal to allow medical use of marijuana could provide a message contrast in the governor's race, heightening its effectiveness as a turnout mechanism. So more people might actually show up at the polls to vote for medical marijuana than who really care about the governor's race, which is pretty funny. Let's see. On the Democratic side, former Nelson and Hillary Clinton fundraiser Ben Palera of Coral Gables is signing up as the group's treasurer. This is the PUMFA, which I read before, People United for Medical Marijuana. PUFM. I knew that. PUMFA. You'd think I was smoking. PUFM has been working for quite a few years. We talked to them when we were in Florida a couple of years ago. The Florida legislator and the voters have made it tougher than ever to get measures on the ballot. PUFM needs to collect a valid signatures of 683,149 voters to get on the ballot. And that could cost up to $3.5 million to be able to do that. PUFM has only raised $41,000 and only collected 100,000 signatures, all of which are valid. Some might be too old because they were collected as far back as 2009. So it's one thing to have people really want the measure and it to go forward in terms of poll numbers, but it's quite another to be able to get the signatures and raise the money to be able to get it on the ballot. Puffham's Florida director, Kimberly Russell, said the group hopes that the poll and the top-notch campaign minds could turn things around. And she says, if we get this on the ballot, we have a great chance of getting this passed. The more these pass in other states, the more people support it everywhere else. And that's so true. Once somebody's able to look at another state and say, wow, the sky didn't fall in whatever state, then definitely they are more willing to move forward and vote yes in their state, especially right now. Economically, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, absolutely. Now, they talk about passing a constitutional amendment in Florida is tougher than in many states. It needs to pass by a 60% threshold. If there was an organization opposed and $5 million, you could beat this thing. So it could happen. It could happen. I know I sound so excited, but it could definitely happen. So cross your fingers that Puffham raises enough money and gets enough signatures to get this on the ballot, because 2014 could be the year for Florida. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about some other states that have had success and one that has not been successful in getting a bill passed by their legislature. So we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to iCannabis Radio. My name's Georgia. I'm with Chris, and we'll be back in just a second. We are brought to you tonight by Noto Urban Garden Supply. Noto Urban Garden Supply is your neighborhood hydroponics store located at 1330 27th Street in Denver, Colorado, about 4.5 blocks northwest of Coors Field, just down the street from MMD of Colorado. If Amendment 64 has you scratching your head saying, I think it's time for me to grow my own, go visit our friends at Noto Urban Garden Supply or visit them on the web at www.nodourbangardenssupply.com. And they'd be happy to help you out, whether you're a first-time grower and you need help from the very, very beginning, or whether you have been growing for quite some time and are just looking to perfect your crop. Noto Urban Garden Supply is definitely the place to be. They're open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And again, on the web at nodourbangardenssupply.com. We are also brought to you tonight by Medical Marijuana of the Rockies. mmrockies.com is your mountain source for meds. If you're like Chris and you're going to head up to Keystone this weekend, you should take a little bit of a longer drive and go to Frisco, Colorado. If you're going to Breckenridge, go to Frisco and get off at exit 206. And right behind the Big O Tires is mmrockies.com. Make sure that you tell them that you heard about them. Make sure you tell them that you heard about them from us here at iCannabis Radio. Jerry will happily help you out. They have some of the best clones in the state, and their strain selection is always located on their website, which is mmrockies.com. So visit Medical Marijuana of the Rockies when you are going up to do some riding or do some skiing. mmrockies.com. We'll be right back.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
I want to say, talk it up, Colorado. Well, welcome back to iCannabis Radio. I'm Georgia, and we were just talking about Florida, because I like to talk about Florida. But, it's not always good news. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. Oklahoma. I wasn't surprised when Arkansas didn't go the way of medical marijuana this year, but Arkansas has tried a lot. An Oklahoma Senate committee has defeated a proposal to legalize the medical use of marijuana. Members of the Senate Health and Human Services Committee voted 6-2 against the measure on Monday. Democratic Senator Constance Johnson of Oklahoma City said she considered it a victory that their bill was granted a hearing, since similar measures she's introduced over the last 6 years haven't been heard in committee. They have tried 6 times. Unfortunately, this wasn't a real, they weren't really hearing it. They were just kind of doing her a favor. Tulsa Republican Senator Brian Crane chairs the panel and says that while he personally opposes the idea, he agreed to hear the bill because of Johnson's persistence. The bill would have allowed a qualified patient or designated caregiver to possess up to 8 ounces of dried marijuana product. That's just kind of crappy, I have to say. We're not really interested in supporting your legislation at all. We're just going to do you a little favor and throw you a bone and hear your little measure because you've tried 6 previous times. Wake up, Oklahoma. I know the South hasn't really gone the way of medical marijuana, and outside of Florida, they're not likely to do so anytime soon, maybe. But we're talking about 18 states and the District of Columbia now that have full-fledged medical marijuana programs on the books, and a whole bunch more states that are moving in that direction. I think that the polls in Florida show that even the most conservative states can really move forward with smart legislation. So Oklahoma, get your head out of your ass and let's move forward. So Oregon, since we just talked to Mykayla's family, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Oregon. So, Oregon did not pass their legalization bill in November. But Oregon Democrat Earl, I'm going to butcher this name, Blumnauer, right? Blumenauer. I don't know. Blumenauer. That's how I'm going to say it. Put forward his legislation allowing states to legalize medical marijuana in an effort to end the confusion surrounding federal pot policy. So his idea is that on the federal level, they need to make an exception for medical marijuana so there aren't these confusing dichotomies between the federal government and the state. Blumnauer's legislation, which has 13 co-sponsors, including GOP Representative Dana Rohrabacher of California, would create a framework for the FDA to eventually legalize medical marijuana. It would also block the feds from interfering in any of the 19 states where medical marijuana is legal. At the press conference outside of the Capitol, Blumnauer didn't attack the DEA for targeting medical marijuana dispensaries or blame the Justice Department for forcing marijuana businesses to operate in a legal gray zone. Instead, he pitched his legislation as a solution to the confusion surrounding federal marijuana policy. He said, frankly, the people in the federal hierarchy are in an impossible situation. If it gets the federal government and the Department of Justice out of the never land. On the heels of successful referendums legalizing marijuana in both Colorado and Washington state, Blumnauer and Jared Polis introduced legislation to end federal marijuana prohibition and set up a scheme to tax the drug. The activists surrounding Blumnauer had just come from a 4-day conference on medical marijuana, and many of them were veterans of campaigns to legalize the treatment in their home states. Some held a sign that wouldn't be out of place at a Tea Party rally against the Affordable Care Act, "Get politics out of my medicine." So we'll see if there's success there. The idea for at least the federal government to acquiesce in some way to be able to say that they're not going to target medical marijuana would be a step in the right direction. I feel like we've had a lot of steps in the right direction, and the people of the country in general are speaking loud and clear about the fact that they don't believe that marijuana is dangerous. They don't believe it's a gateway drug. They don't believe it's Satan's medicine. They believe that it's a plant that can help people. And hopefully that continues to be heard. So shall we go on to another interesting state? Let's talk about Iowa. Everybody want to talk about Iowa? Iowa. The majority of Iowans support legalizing medical marijuana. What a freaking surprise. Iowa's following the rest of us, right? The Iowa poll conducted February 3rd through 6th for the Des Moines Register is based on interviews with 802 Iowans ages 18 or older. Interviewers contacted households with randomly selected landline and cell phone numbers. Responses were adjusted by age and sex to reflect the general population based on recent census data. So more than half of Iowans favor allowing sick people to use marijuana as medicine, but the idea is not as popular as it used to be. But a large, steady majority of Iowans disapprove of allowing people to smoke marijuana just to get high. So, which I think is what happens in a lot of states, that there's this whole thing called the Box Canyon theory, which says that if you legalize medical marijuana, you're never going to legalize marijuana entirely for any purposes for adults. But I think that the opposite is true, that more likely than not, if people see that no harm has come from legalizing medical marijuana, they're more likely to open up their minds to marijuana for adult use as well. So I'm not surprised that Iowans in this poll were less likely to say it's okay just to smoke to get high. I think that's the other thing, is people don't want to admit, because they don't know what people are thinking. Ooh, if I just say it's okay to use drugs, they're going to think that I'm, a druggie, or, whatever my mom used to call that. Doing the dope, you're smoking dope, right? Right. 18 states and Washington, D.C. have legalized medical marijuana, which proponents say can ease pain, nausea, and other symptoms. Duh. The issue has been kicked around in Iowa for years, but it's failed to gain traction even after the Iowa Pharmacy Board in 2010 recommended reclassifying marijuana in a way that could make it legal for medical purposes. Don't you find that interesting, that the Iowa Pharmacy Board, now they could have very well had some their intentions could have been personal and profitable, but nonetheless, that they would recommend reclassification. The poll consists that was done, like I said, had 802 Iowan adults. The margin of error is 3.5%, but nonetheless, an amazing number of people. Again, that 58% would support legalizing medical marijuana. So could it be that Iowa could join the ranks? Maybe. I have to say, as an aside, so they quote someone from MPP, from the Marijuana Policy Project in here, a gentleman by the name of Mark Tvert, who we all know is really Mason Tvert. And Mason Tvert says that poll results often vary depending on how a question is phrased. For example, if a pollster simply asks if marijuana should be legalized, many people are likely to say no. But when you say legalize marijuana and sell it in a regulated store, support tends to rise dramatically. Tvert, who lives in Denver, as we know, was the co-chair of Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol, Amendment 64. He also says in this article that supporters realize that in some states will take much longer than others to legalize marijuana, like freaking Florida, even for medical purposes. But he said the momentum is shifting. People just do not think we should be criminalizing sick people for improving their quality of life by using marijuana. Stephen Lucan, Iowa's Drug Control Policy Director. What an interesting title. Can you imagine that's your job? It's the Drug Control Policy Officer. I mean, that has like concealed weapon written all over it, if you ask me. He said the decline in enthusiasm for legalizing medical marijuana is probably because of reports about how the drug was widely prescribed for minor ailments in states that legalized it. The medical marijuana laws, unfortunately, have become a bit of a joke. Lucan also noticed that although marijuana is the most used illicit drug in Iowa, it's not as popular here as it is in many other states. A federal survey done in 2009 and 10, for example, found 14% of young Iowa adults smoked marijuana in the previous month, compared to 18% nationally. You know, it's so funny that that people say, oh, it's the law's a joke because anyone can get a card or whatever. I never ever will again judge who I think is a sick person and who's not. After seeing so many patients that outwardly don't look like they are sick, who have lots of really debilitating conditions, it is not up to me to decide whether or not someone could benefit from medical marijuana. That's a decision made by the patient and their doctor. and not up to a politician who thinks that these have become somewhat of a joke. Anyway, we are going to take a quick break, and we're done talking about Iowa, and we're done talking about Oklahoma, and we'll be back in a minute.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706. Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. runongrass.com.
Hi, this is Gavin Edson, and you're listening to my mom, Georgia Ensign, on iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Georgia. And Chris, what's up?
How's it going? How's it going?
It's going good. So, we just heard the Run on Grass ad, and you and I are going to do a run in... When's our run?
I got to make sure it's the graffiti run. I think it's at Illich's.
Yeah. So it's
5K, I think.
5K. We can do it. We can do it. Gavin's going to do it with us. I'm going to kick your ass, just so you know.
You probably will.
Actually, it's not a race. It's a run. So there will be no ass kicking there.
It's a race. It's a race.
Andale. It's kind of a cool thing. They take this like powdery substance and you run through it, or they throw it at you, and you're supposed to.
I think you run through obstacles, and there's just people on the side throwing different colors at you, and you're supposed to wear white. And the people, from what I read, the people that are throwing the colors are not supposed to throw it at your face. They're supposed to throw it below your neck. So
that you can actually have fun. You're not worried about ingesting the stuff or getting in your eyeballs.
Yeah, you can breathe while you run,
And then you end up having all these colors, like you look like someone's tagged you or whatever, or kind of tie-dye or whatever.
Just amazing colors. I can't wait.
I can't wait. It's going to be really fun. We'll put information up on the website. You can also find it on the Run on Grass website. I'll put it up there as well. So we've been talking about things that are going on outside the state. We're going to bring it a little closer to home and talk a little bit about Colorado. Since Article 18, subsection 16, or whatever it is, Amendment 64's place in the Colorado Constitution, since that's gone into effect, there have been, lots of interesting things that have happened. We talked a little bit last week about the glass shop that said, if you spend $30 with me, you get 2 grams of worthless bud.
Yeah, I was at the... Stickman took me to that party. It was at the Roxy. I forget what it was. I think it was like Club 64. Mm-hmm. And there was a gentleman walking around just, would you like some free weed? And, sure, I'll take some free weed. And he handed me a business card and a little bit bigger business card. I don't know what you would call those.
Yeah.
And it said, come to my shop, spend $30 or more, and I'll give you 2 grams of weed for free. And I was just like, it just doesn't seem right, seems like they're kind of abusing the amendment,
Well, I think that people always become entrepreneurs or start thinking outside the box when these things become available. But one of the things that Amendment 64 clearly says is that someone over the age of 21 can gift another person over the age of 21 up to an ounce, and without remuneration. And remuneration essentially means payment of any sort. It doesn't have to be with money. And so if you're having to spend $30
to buy a pipe,
to me, you bought that 2 grams.
Yeah, that's not
gifting someone.
Yeah,
to me.
I have to pay $30 for you to give me 2 grams of some shitty weed. No, it's okay.
Right, exactly.
Some Chinese glass. No, I'm cool.
Right, that's gonna break. But there, not everyone agrees. Police Lieutenant Mark Comte in Colorado Springs said that essentially gave an interview where he said, as far as he was concerned, that if you go and give someone marijuana, you say, it cost me $50 in gas to get here, and you pay me the $50, that to him that's legal. And so that kind of gave the A-OK to people to start a delivery service. We talked a little bit about this last week.
Oh, yeah, like a donation.
Billy Goat Green MMJ said his service took off because of Lieutenant Comte's remarks. Well, unfortunately, Pritchard Garrett, who is the leader of Billy Goat Green MMJ, has been arrested and charged with felonies that could have him in jail for a significant period of time.
And he was this guy MMJ?
Mm-hmm. Delivering.
Delivering to people that were over 21, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Why would you take that risk?
Well, because he really felt like the police lieutenant gave him the blessing and said, "Have at it. It's yours to do." However, Comte now is saying that he believes that Garrett was clearly skirting Amendment 64. Garrett sold to 2 undercover police officers, and the Attorney General's office representative said, quote, "Distributing marijuana in exchange for suggested donations is a scam to get around the laws against the sale of marijuana. It further complicates one of the stickiest questions facing the state in the immediate aftermath of marijuana legalization. What is an exchange? What is an exchange? A sale? When is an exchange a sale? Like when is it that you get something because you gave them something?"
Mm-hmm.
Because Amendment 64 allows people over 21 to possess up to an ounce and to give up to an ounce, a sale of marijuana, still isn't legal, but that gifting piece is. In an interview, Garrett said that Billy Goat Green sought to fill the current retail hole by offering to give people free marijuana and then soliciting a donation for expenses. And he said, "I really thought we were doing something that we could be proud of, something that we could provide for our family." The article goes on to say that Amendment 64, there are a lot of loopholes, but Comte contended that Billy Goat Green was operating outside of those loopholes. According to arrest affidavits, a Billy Goat Green delivery man gave detectives 1.6 ounces during one undercover buy and 2.1 ounces during a second buy. The affidavit says specific prices were also agreed upon for the marijuana. So not only was it above the 1 ounce limit, but they did talk about the price, according to these affidavits. And it says, Comte says in actuality he was delivering for remuneration and he was delivering over the allowable quantity. Garrett said the 2 undercover detectives at each buy, and Garrett said there were 2 undercover detectives at each buy, and the marijuana was packaged in a separate baggie for the 2 detectives. Each baggie was under an ounce. Garrett and 2 connected with Billy Goat Green were arrested February 5th. They faced felony marijuana distribution charges, and because of previous criminal arrests in Maryland that included prison time, Garrett said he could be looking at a life behind bars. Oh. And needless to say, he's pretty freaked out about it.
Oh, no, that's not good.
Yeah, it's not good, and I really do feel for him. But he's not the only person that has tried to start new businesses. I mean, one of the things that happened this weekend, Chris, that you were a part of, was Studio A64 in Colorado Springs, which is a new vape lounge, right?
Yeah, it's like a vape smoke lounge. It was a lot nicer than the other clubs that I've been to with Stickman. That they allowed enough. It was a small venue. They had somebody giving massages. They were really nice to everybody. I didn't have to get up to get a drink of water or anything like that. They brought everything for me. I got it right here. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
And it was a good time. Sam, the producer, actually got up and was playing the at a time. It was cool. CNN was there. It was clean. they were
Nice
you know,
environment.
they were people were dressed professionally. There wasn't, you know, nobody, and you know, not trying to say that you can't dress like how you want, but it was a little bit more upscale. It was really nice. I liked it.
Now, is this intended to be open regularly? Have they? I know the grand opening was.
Yes, from what I understood, it was going to be open from 4 to 10 daily. So you can go and watch the sunset, drink some coffee, go inside and medicate. There's no alcohol allowed. You have to sign a waiver before you go in there. They'll roll your joints for you. They'll supply a Silver Surfer vape for you. They're really. It was really cool. I liked it. And I guess they're gonna have poker nights there.
Fun.
Which should be. I think we should be a good time there.
So did you have to pay a membership fee? Is that how they're doing it?
I'm not sure. I think we didn't have to pay anything, and I was trying to pay attention to see what was going on. I think it was $5 just to get in, but I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that.
So definitely check it out, folks. Studio A64 in Colorado Springs, kind of another interesting twist on what's going on. I mean, I really do support people being, coming up with creative, fun ideas. I just hope that people are getting good legal advice and thinking things through based on the laws or the lack of laws. I think one of the things that is concerning is that if we push too hard in one direction before the legislature gets a chance, the General Assembly gets a chance to promulgate rules in Colorado, then we're going to find that they're going to react to things like clubs and delivery services and those kinds of things because they didn't think about them before and now they're getting worried about them. So I'm certainly not trying to squelch anyone's creativity and any of their business acumen. I just hope that people are really thinking it through. But yeah, I love the idea of people going out and having a good time and not drinking.
I would
sure.
say if more people were going to do this, they'd probably should model it a little bit more to what he's doing.
Yeah,
'cause he's making sure everybody's 21. If you have an MMJ card, making sure you not bringing in more than an ounce. He doesn't allow oil rigs. You can't dab there.
No dabbing.
You don't want people, you don't want somebody coming in that's just smoked some weed here and there, and you have some professional dabbers there. But here, take this 0.5 chunk of hash.
right.
And next thing you know, he's on the ground crawling to the bathroom to puke. He didn't want any of that. So it was a cool spot. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Good. And you can definitely check it out because we did a live broadcast there Saturday night. David from the Hemp Connoisseur magazine, Sam and you, Chris, went down. And so that's on our website, right?
Yes, it is on our website. You can look it up at Recorded Shows, the Hemp Connoisseur, and it's the most recent one up there.
Excellent. So check it out on our Hemp Connoisseur. Excuse me, my nose itches. So let me tell you a little bit about what's going on the rest of the week on iCannabis Radio. Tomorrow night, of course, is Sex Pot Radio with our girl Jenny Cush from 6 to 8 p.m. Thursday, Hemp Connoisseur Magazine from 4 to 5 and Stickman Overgrow the Radio from 7 to 9. Monday afternoon in the lab with Jennifer Murray from Can Labs and Jill Lamoureux from Americans for Safe Access will be on from 3 to 4 p.m. And of course, on Monday night, next Monday, it's the first Monday of the month. Can you believe it's March already? Next Monday is March.
I know.
February F's me up every single time.
My snowboard season's just going.
Hey, I tell you what. When are we going?
It's flying right by. I don't know. We need to set up a time. I want to go. It'd be cool.
I know. It'd be really
I just don't
fun.
have a Loveland pass, so we have to go to Keystone.
I'll go to Keystone.
Keystone.
I'll go to Keystone. I'm going to Alta this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're going to go ski in Salt Lake City.
Lucky.
I know.
They got a lot of snow.
They've had a lot of snow. They've had a lot of
I'd
snow.
like to go to Park City myself.
Right. We're also going to do Monarch this year. Have you ever been to Monarch?
Monarch is awesome.
Such a fun.
Awesome mountain.
Oh my gosh, it's small and wonderful and fantastic and
I like
beautiful.
Salida.
I do too. They get great snow, so I'm really excited. I want to thank our sponsors this week, Mile High Wellness, Noda Urban Garden Supply, my dad, Couple Lego Carl Moore and Company, Edson Maton and Mats, Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, Medical Marijuana 101, and a Run on Grass. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Again, thank you so much to mykayla and her family for being on. We will definitely talk to them again. You've been listening to me, Georgia, on iCannabis Radio. Don't forget to listen the rest of the week and check out recorded shows for any shows you may have missed. Thanks a lot. See you next week.